we're starting a new series, and it's a series we've touched on before because it keeps coming. You know, there's always more to talk about, and it's clearly on people's minds.
In late stage capitalism, we're gonna really see the consequences of all that capitalism come to light perpetually. I bet in like 3 weeks we'll have even more awful stuff that's happened, and we'll just kind of be like, ow, but I'm glad I know. And that's the thesis of rich people are bad.
So we're talking about Eat the Rich, which, you know, we've done. We've covered, you know, horrors of society, which always ends up being like, you know, the rich hoard all the wealth and then it's miserable. Yeah, we're talking about the film Opus, which came out last year, 2025.
And the first time I saw it, I actually didn't hate it. I actually liked it. I was like, that was a weird ride. I remember it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was a memorable film in that like weird stuff happened that I haven't seen something do to a body. Before.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's hop in. So Opus is from 2025, like I said, and it's about a writer travels to the compound of a pop icon who disappeared years ago. Surrounded by his cult of sycophants, as well as a group of fellow journalists, she soon discovers his twisted plans for the gathering, and is directed by Mark Anthony Green. My disappointment of being like, Mark Anthony Green. No. But I'll tell you more in depth what happens. You know, spoilers abound. We will I won't like flat out say what happens, so you can still enjoy it if you choose to watch it. I don't know if you will, though.
It's not like the worst film I've ever seen.
No. No, I'm not mad.
Yeah.
It's not one of those ones that we're angry about.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just like you're not missing anything in your life if you don't experience it.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of movies out there and a lot coming out. And if you only have one movie, like time, this doesn't have to be it.
Yeah. That's all. That's all we're trying to get at. Like it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know, but if you got ample time, you just overfill your cup, runneth over, like I said, then partake.
Yeah, it's fun enough.
This one.
Good.
But let me tell you what happens. Mild spoilers ahead. But Opus attempts to confront celebrity fanaticism and elitism. Following young music journalist Ariel Ecton, who's played brilliantly by Ayo Edebiri. She, again, is the star and one of the only reasons to watch it, who is unexpectedly invited to an exclusive listening party. A renowned musician of old, Alfred Moretti, if you think Prince, David Bowie, or Madonna, is back after a 3 decades hiatus with new music, and he's giving a select few premier access to the record. Ariel, along with her arrogant and exploitative boss, Stan Sullivan, which while I was writing this, I was like, wait a second, his name is Stan. The celebrity Stan. I don't know if that's purposeful.
Who knows?
He could just be named Stan. I don't know. So Stan, her boss. The others who make the exclusive cut are talk show host Clara Armstrong, which is played by Juliette Lewis. Another reason why I tuned in. Yeah. Social media influencer Emily Katz, paparazzo Bianca Tyson, and longtime journalist Bill Lotto, the latter of which is well known for having a feud with a pop star after writing some questionable things about his dog. So they're like, why is he here? The group is to experience this phenomenal new musical moment at Moretti's commune cult ranch thing. And at first, Ariel is eager to capture the more interesting aspects of the trip, which surprisingly isn't Moretti's new album, but rather his literal cult following. His commune is full of blue-clad, well-behaved believers of not solely Moretti specifically, but a larger-than-him philosophy around beauty and art, and they're known as the Levelists. Like we hear about a music teacher getting a call to join this cult and just dropping his whole life to be here. Yeah. It's just full of people who have similar stories to that of like being called forth because of a love and an appreciation for art. And Moretti is an artist in a way. Is it good art? You know, it's subjective. It's certainly something. They made the songs. They made the songs. Right. They made the songs for this film, and they're not all bad. They're just like weird. That part was fun. Like I was just like, what a wacky time.
Yeah, the music
which
part
I think was
fun.
purposeful.
I agree.
I think it was on purpose for it to be a little weird. Ariel is looking to make a name for herself and fighting for stories and to escape her middle-of-the-road life and outlook. So this cult becomes a juicy morsel of potential fate. She wants to write a book.
Yeah.
She wants to be something, though that's pretty ambiguous what it is that she wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
She's essentially been told, like, you're not going to be anything because you haven't been anything. Like, you don't have hardship, you don't have struggle. And it was like, you're telling this to a Black woman.
Yeah.
Like, who's working in, like, the music journalism industry.
Yeah, like
under a white man. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
Okay, sure. She's done nothing. What are you saying? Anyway,
yeah, no, it's very ridiculous.
So she's a middle of the road, middling person. And so this is her opportunity. So she, like, grabs onto this cult. She's like, forget about this song. It's like, he's a weirdo. I don't really care. But I want to know what's going on here. And the boss is like, just write my journal list. Just write my edit and we'll be good.
Yeah.
Only something far more interesting and sinister starts to unravel as Ariel realizes her fellow witnesses begin to disappear one by one. Ariel begins to question why Moretti invited these people specifically and why no one else is as alarmed as her about their disappearances. And spoiler alert, it's because she's a Black woman.
Yeah.
So she's asking questions. The film unravels in a Midsommar-esque dissolution of glamour and obsession, with Ariel as our final girl against some peculiar evils. I did tell Kay, it was like Midsommar off of Wish. Like, specifically, there's like a scene where she's hiding in like a shed.
Yeah.
And they like paint, like the camera pans to a body that's in there with her. And it felt like similar scenes where we find bodies in Midsommar, but without that like punch, because it's like jumbled
because you kind of like knew what was happening, like they hinted.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she didn't see the body either. So like it was like, what are we doing? You know, it's fine. So the bulk of my section I'm calling a lackluster warning. Don't drink the Koolaid of cult celebrity. And yes, to all the the cult of true crime, I know that it was not Kool-Aid, it was Flavor Aid. But that's the turn of phrase, okay?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
It's the Kool-Aid of cult celebrity. So Opus, the debut film of director and former music journalist Mark Anthony Green, intends to critique cultural criticism, celebrity obsession, and the hierarchy of fame. There's a level of anticipation with Green at the helm, an expectation of truths revealed, insider knowledge shared, and no holds barred, right? However, while the film is pretty to look at and has some of the most insane moments of body gore I've seen in some time, which is one of my favorite things, Kay alluded to, a thing that happens to your human body. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't know that was possible.
I was living. I was
remember that forever.
I was like, forget the rest of the movie. I'm sad. It does, unfortunately, even with that, leave a lot to be desired. And perhaps, again, maybe too much credit, that could be the intention. Like Moretti, the film relies on an overindulgence of performance to convey meaning without offering much past the flashy exterior. While each of the characters are flat archetypes of professionals in the media world, they're not entirely far off in their representation. They're simply not given enough space to thrive and commit to the bit. Like, each one of those actors was trying.
Yeah.
Like, full credit to every single actor that was in there. The sliver of direction that they were given in lines, they tried to do.
Yeah. Like, I'd say, like, the acting was good. It's just that what they were given wasn't, as you said, enough to.
It was like rushed. Like, we didn't spend time with them.
Yeah.
To, like, feel that reveal later.
Yeah. And like you were saying,
like, why is no one else stressed? Like,
for sure. And it's also like, if you think of like, if it was on purpose, it's like to show like superficiality of fame and how like the ambition can be whittled down to something so selfish or simple. But like, as you said, I don't know.
And I think like there is a part of it that is a conversation of like, you know, they are desensitized to the absurdity of celebrity. Right, like and now it's like a whole can of worms. But in previous years ago, there were conversations around Diddy parties, right, or similar celebrity parties, Jay-Z and all of them, where absurd things happened at them, And if you were in the know, it was just like, that's what happens at a Diddy party, right?
Yeah.
And now it's on trial, right? Yeah. But it's like, these are people who were in the midst of those kinds of parties. And it's like, you're here, you're now like, what's the word? An accessory to whatever crimes are taking place. And so that's why it brushes off them so quickly, and they're not, like, it is intentional that they're not suspicious. And they also believe themselves like exempt from accountability.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, of course nothing will touch me. Yeah. I'm important.
No,
and that's why, like, Ariel, who's not, like, she's new here, is like, yo, this is all really sus. And they're like, oh, calm down. It's just a celebrity party.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I think that part is definitely on purpose. And I just wish we got more of those characters with those moments.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, like, we kind of slipped up a bit. But the film, even in its absurdity, pulls from front page reality. Because Kanye West actually held a similar exclusive event in 2018 for his album Ye. And Kanye, a musician who has made headlines in the past few decades, not for his music, but for the instability of his personal life and mental health, has formed a belief in himself as something akin to God. He went from Jesus walk with me to I am God, I am the God of me, leaving many of us missing old Kanye. In an article on Pitchfork, Opus Review, a fameless spoof of celebrity culture, they compare the fanaticism of Kanye's approximation to God to Moretti's and Opus, saying, the rare proximity to Kanye, who was just beginning his descent from the summit of pop culture, was covered by every outlet imaginable, including this one. Celebrity is a weird thing, Alex Frank wrote in his Pitchfork roundup of the event. Even if you fancy yourself cynical and jaded, fame's glow will shine in your eyes anyway. Which, funny enough, they do that in the film. Does make me wonder, did you read that article before that? Because fame seems to do that too in this film, showing a glint of glow in the eyes of Moretti's followers and fans. The cult is the more interesting aspect of the film for me, with the twisted, like, murderous intent of Moretti falling into background noise, a lackluster and surprising chorus amongst a far more interesting and punchy bridge. I had many more questions about this cult than I did about Moretti's victims, and notion that I shared with Ariel, who continues to question Moretti on his beliefs. Her tango with Moretti as she pokes into his world is captivating at moments. Is lingering above her, watching over her shoulder, dwelling a tad too long in her personal space is like, ooh. So gross. It's infinitely more unsettling than a headless body in a shed. Like, yeah. I was like, those parts made me uncomfortable. And again, some of the twisted body horror the later half were like the two things that stuck with me. Yeah. Ayo Edebiri is honestly the best part of the film, and she deserves all the credit for bringing to life a lackluster script. The cast is star-studded, like I said, and I even had high hopes for the talented Juliette Lewis, who couldn't transform Clara into anything more than a weird punchline. She was just there, and I was like, give her space to do something. Like, yeah, she's so... I love Juliette Lewis so much, and I was just like waiting for her to be something, and she was just there as an accessory. And I get, like, she was, but, like, give her room to play. And I will say that I really appreciate the pathetic reasonings behind Moretti's wrath. It fits the desperate nature of a washed-up celebrity who fancies himself God enough to make the killings reasonable. Right, to him being like, I'm Caesar. He's literally like, I'm Caesar, I'm killing you. Like, sir.
You're just a guy, actually.
Right? However, he's not the star of this film. The Levelists are. And I wonder about their motivation specifically. Like, yeah, I get they, like, kind of worship him, but they don't as well. Because they'd be doing something else. They have a higher calling, and I want to know what it is. Yeah. Like, I think I'd call myself God, too, if I could convince everyone to wear my favorite color and help me kill all my worst enemies, purely of my own making. Anytime they're on screen doing seemingly innocuous but subtly sinister tasks like archery or taking measurements of the guests' bodies, they steal the show. Like, I was like, what are we doing over here? Stop singing at me. I want to know what they're doing out there. Yeah. Ultimately, I'm left with far more questions than answers. And one of the most prominent of those is simply, why did you give me this? Like, Why did you give me any of the stuff that's happening? Because Green's film overflows with forgotten plot points, half-formed motifs, and a desperate attempt at meaning. And I was just like, okay, like, sure.
Yeah.
The second half of my section is the importance of the Black final girl. Because I cannot write a review of a horror film with a Black final girl without saying something about that. Because it's simple. We don't have a lot of them. And so you got to be nice. You got to figure out what you're doing with them. And so while I believe Ayo was selected as her heroine because of her acting prowess and to cash in on her rising fame, right? Taking advantage of her growing cult following. Right? That's what we're doing here. We can't ignore the impact of having a Black final girl. And Ariel being a young Black woman in a predominantly white male industry, working under a less talented white man and covering a washed up white man performer matters. Look at all those layers, and she's bringing that in. Green makes this film far more interesting with Ayo at the helm. I think it would be a different story with someone else there.
Absolutely.
Like this made it matter.
Yeah.
In a way. Substack writer Caro, in their review of the film, Gut Reactions, as a young Black journalist, Opus hits too close to home, explores how the film affected them specifically as a journalist of color who is also read as a Black woman, though they're non-binary. They say, if you're a journalist of color, you have seen and experienced some absolute utter racist bullshit at the hands of your fellow white reporters, never mind the racially motivated hate crimes you cover or the systemic oppression you spend hours of your life studying. And for journalists who, like Ariel, are constantly working harder for the opportunity to grasp at recognition, the film reeks of reality. It's a big deal that Ariel's boss, Stan, wants to profit off of her hard work. Right? Sure, the core message is like higher-ups coasting on the works of their underlings, but he cast Ayo Edebiri. Yeah. So now we have a bigger story that changes the little injustices into something larger and more structural. Yeah. Right? It becomes a cultural issue, not just like a capitalistic one. It brings to question why it's a Black woman cultist that saves Ariel in the end. Like, why her? And if her escape is the plan all along, why have that woman be the one to do it?
Yeah, like, was it like a get out moment or no?
But it wasn't, though, because they wanted her to get out to do the book, right? Like, if they have all that power and their intention was this ending, like he wants Ariel to believe that it was all going according to plan. And they pick that woman to let her go on purpose. And it could be because Ariel would believe a Black woman over any of the other cultists. Yeah. That's possible. And so they were using her. But it's just like, then why is that Black woman doing that? Like, why'd you do that to her? Ariel being Black also better informs her decisions, right? It's why she's quicker to suspect something's awry, to ask questions, and to be the first to try to nope her way out of there. And when she's like, I got all my stuff, I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
I was like,
absolutely.
I was like, yes. She questions the unquestionable obedience of those around her, and her suspicions at times feel straight out of Jordan Peele's Get Out. Like, she's living his life, right? She's naturally distrusting. Even if she came from her middling life, it's in her bones. Yeah. Having our BS detector fine-tuned, our running shoes tied tight, and our eyes constantly on the metaphorical emergency exit. Yeah, it's just another night in Black Girl World, explains Caro. And Caro feels the film isn't exactly frightening for people like them, but for people like Stan, these are the terrifying consequences of their own actions, Caro says. If you are a part of the machine that believes that DEI, like cancel culture, is a social poison, are the kind of person who talks over colleagues in editorial meetings, sees the bright young minds hired as a well of ideas for you to steal from, and are just nice enough to your Black women peers so that you don't come across as racist, but don't see them as people, then Opus is a big yikes for you, probably. So it did have me pause, like, oh, maybe I don't really appreciate this film because it wasn't for me. Like, I'm not the audience, you know? Yeah. But what was the purpose of the puppet show around Billy? Like, Billie Holiday. Right? In the critical moment of regret for Ariel, who should have walked her ass home. She should have kept going. She finds herself watching the puppet show The Tragedy of Billy at the behest of the weirdo cult child. Like, you were so close, baby girl. It's a bizarre performance confronting the tragic life of Billie Holiday. And it could be assumed that Moretti, and by extension Green, are attempting to connect Ariel to this tragic figure and to have Moretti lump the disrespect he's encountered into the same category as tragedies that Billy faced, which is like very him. Like the fact that he sees Ariel almost as like a pupil, like this future, like he's trying to instill a future into her.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's feeling like this weird connection to the, like, I've lived the same tragedies as Billie fucking Holiday, like, I can see that crazy white man thinking that. It would be saying something. However, Moretti's goal here is more about his righteousness for murder. It's like the qualifications for murder, right? It's an excuse why he needs to murder the pirates like Caesar did. He's just like, they didn't know who I was, and I'm God, you know? It's a matter of pride. So it's an odd choice to have this white man who fancies himself godlike to wield Billie's pains and suffering at the very hands of men like him and the others that he's persecuting as a weapon of undoing for Ariel. Like I'm all twisted up there. I'm like, what are you doing to me, sir? So ultimately, Opus is a flamboyant display of celebrity and cult, lacking in substance. It's a gory spectacle and has some fun moments that are unfortunately stunted by the overall story. It's a bit of a record flop, and no amount of auto-tuned, daft-punk-esque absurd performances by John Malkovich can save it.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool though. Like, I was like, it was such a weird vibe, and I was like, okay, what are we doing? It's just like, we took these weird paths, and like, you kept giving me stuff, and then you didn't do anything with it.
And I'll be like, the first time I watched it, it was definitely like, I did not have my media analysis glasses on. I was just like, that was so weird. But like, I like Ayo, so it was kind of fun because I like Ayo. And then Isaiah left it kind of feeling the same thing. We're like, this is definitely saying more than we perceived in this moment. Because it
definitely looks like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
That's the
and
thing.
Then you watch it with
looks
media
like
analysis
it's supposed
glasses,
to.
and then you're like, oh wait, no, it's definitely not.
Right, but which is like, it could be on purpose, right? Like, it could be like, the film to me is Moretti. Like, it's like this flamboyant, like, bright, boisterous thing that inside is nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a guy.
He is literally just a guy. Hit him with your car.
I think he was trying his best.